trails. As a trail guide, I got an official shirt here that says Orlando Jeep Club Trail Guide Leader. We lead trails. Well, what does that mean? That means we take people out to scenic places to see natural Florida. We drive through the woods with a group of people. We lead them, we talk to them, we tell them what's going on. And we usually try to find a little bit of history along the way. We try to find something that's out there that's unique, a little bit of story, a little bit of background. So part of what we do is we also learn a little bit about history. And then we generally, afterwards, we gather together for a meal somewhere. Together we have a hamburger or a hot dog, and that's the time that you say, oh, he's so crazy. No, that's not something that happens on a frequent basis, but we try to go to a locally owned restaurant and give them our business because that's good for the economy. That's what we do when we go out in Jeep. Well, we are like your GPS on a guide. We're going to tell you how to get from point A to point B. We're going to talk on the radio. We're going to guide you through different things. We're going to tell you when to be in 4 low or 4 high. And we're going to help you with the trails because that's what a trail guide does or trail leader does. Well, I have a question for you, and that's, who are you following? Because this is the morning devotion. You know that was just the illustration. I want to read this to you from John chapter 10, verse 27. This is a quote from Jesus. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. Amen. That's what Jesus said. Who are you following in life? Who are you following with a destination? Well, you see, GPS, it's not a real person that's putting all that in. It's done through computers. You don't really know exactly which way you're going, but that GPS is going to help you get from point A to point B. Well, when we follow Jesus, that's what we mean. We don't necessarily know how this journey of life is going to go, but we do know what our starting point was when we accepted Christ, and we do know what our ending point was when we end up in eternity with Jesus. Amen. I'm going to follow him. Even though I wasn't there, I didn't see him. I wasn't one of the 12. This Matthew's different than that Matthew. But by faith, I believe it. Just like by faith, you sometimes blindly follow your GPS. The difference is that Jesus never, ever messes up. Amen. GPS, on the other hand, can get you lost and turned around.
That happened to me the other day.
Well, Jesus said this in John 8 and 12. This is what Jesus said.
Again, Jesus spoke to them, saying, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life.
Whoever follows him, whoever follows Jesus, will not walk in darkness. Amen. See, walking in darkness means you don't necessarily see what you're walking through. You may not see a snake on the ground. You may not see a pothole. Out here, you may not see a big cow patty like the one that's right down there. Walking in darkness has its hazards. You might not see a branch. Jesus said he's the light of the world. He brings that light into our life so that we don't hit things unexpectedly sometimes. There's a lot of things that happen unexpected, but God always knows what's going on. So my first question was, who are you following? My second question is, what is your book of history? What is the history that you're looking for? As we go out on the trails and we look for history, history is there to teach us a lesson. If we fail to learn from the mistakes of the past, we're destined to repeat them again. That's why we teach history, to learn about things. Well, this is what it says, and it's found in Romans chapter 15 and verse 4, talking about the Bible is a book that has historical things that we can learn from. This is what it says.
For whatever was written in former days was written for our instruction, that through endurance and through encouragement of the scriptures, we might have hope.
That we might have hope. Pull up a little bit more there, because I want you just a little bit more like that. So it is a book of history. It is things that we can learn from. one of the reasons why I believe that the Bible is fully inspired by God is because no nation or group of people would write a book about their history full of how many times they messed up. Our American history wasn't that, oh, you remember that thing about the one is by land, two is by sea? Well, he wasn't paying attention originally. So the first part is that he went and stuck it down in the blacksmith's place and nobody saw it and we didn't know. But then it dawned on him. See, children of Israel, they messed up so much. And it's an example for us to be able to learn. So what is your book of history in life? Some of us study real history, and the history is something that is very, very important to a lot of people. People who love history, I love history. But the biblical history, to me, it's not a book of stories, it's a book of history.
Yes.
So, my next question to you, what does it take to follow Jesus? Because here's where it gets real and what you need to apply to your life. Jesus had things to say about following him, hearing his voice, not walking in darkness. But somebody who followed Jesus wrote the book of Hebrews, and this is what they said in Hebrews 11:6.
And without faith it is impossible to please him. For whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him.
So without faith, it is impossible to please God. How do you follow Jesus? By faith. By faith you can follow your GPS. By faith you can follow Jesus.
Amen.
It is written how you can live your life.
Yes.
The Bible is God's positioning service. It tells you what you should do, what you shouldn't do, how you should respond in circumstances, but most importantly, it tells you how to be assured of your eternal destination being eternity with God.
Amen.
We call it heaven. Most people call it going to heaven. It's an eternal place where we can be with God, the creator of heaven and earth.
Yes.
And this book, this Bible, tells us of how to do it. It starts by faith. I believe. It's Easter. Easter. Tomorrow is Palm Sunday. Easter is coming, the celebration of the resurrection of Jesus.
Amen.
But Jesus died for a reason. He died so that we might have life. Well, my question is, if you have accepted Jesus, if you call yourself a Christian, because many people refer to themselves as Christians, are you following Jesus? Are you following Jesus? That's my last question, and this is what it says in Matthew 7:13 through 14.
Enter by the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the way is easy that leads to destruction, and those who enter by it are many. For the gate is narrow and the way is hard that leads to life, and those who find it are few.
The gate is narrow. It's a narrow way. The way that the world says, the way that the culture, the popular culture says, is not the way to salvation. It is a narrow gate. Today, as we are out here in this ranch, we are going to be going through many gates. There are a lot of gates out here. There's cows. You can see them out there, that little white dot right there and that little black dot out there. Those are cows. And those cows out there, they have to stay in their designated areas. Tilt it down just a little bit there. There you go. Those cows have to stay in their designated areas. And so they put gates out here. And those gates have to be opened and closed. If you go through it and it's closed, close it back. Well, God has a very narrow way to get to heaven. And it talks about it being a narrow path, a narrow gate. There is one way to get to heaven. There's only one way to spend eternity with God. And that is because Jesus said, I am the way, I am the truth, and I am the life. And no man can come to the Father but through him. It is Jesus. Why do I talk about Jesus all the time? Because I know he is the way.
Amen.
There's no other way. He is the truth, the ultimate truth.
Amen.
And he is the life. Jesus came to give life, not just life, but abundant life. Find a church to go to this Sunday. If you're in Kissimmee, we would love to have you. Tomorrow morning, Pastor Randy's going to be speaking on Palm Sunday, and then on the Sunday after that is Easter, and that's when I'm going to be talking about the most unexpected thing happened. There's some very unexpected things that happened at the crucifixion. There's some kind of Walking Dead stuff going on. But you'll have to come to church to find out about that. We'll see you tomorrow morning at church.
Keep a praise song in your heart.
Rejoice in the Lord always.
And
again I say, rejoice. See ya. Yeah, we educate people on things, but we also before you hear sound, be texting across snake. If we're about to encounter a snake.
Okay.
And